Um, well, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see a large crowd um, present today. And I am going to introduce Professor Siril Wijesundara, who is a research professor of the National Institute of Fundamental Studies in Sri Lanka. His basic qualification is a BSc in Botany with an MPhil from Peradeniya, and also an MPhil in biology and a PhD in biology from New York City University. He's been in the Botanic Gardens from 1980 to 2015 as Director General of the Department of National Botanic Gardens as well from 2006 to 2015. He's currently a research professor of the National Institute of Fundamental Studies. That was since 2016. He's also the chairman of the National MAB committees and National Species Conservation Advisory Committees. Two of his great tasks which we have enjoyed is that he initiated, planned and established a 300-acre dry zone botanic garden at Mirichavila in Hampantota in 2006, and the 105-acre wet zone botanic gardens at Ilukovita, Avisavala, that was established in 2008. He's a governing council member of the University of Peradeniya, a member of the Board of Governors of the National Institute of Fundamental Studies, and a commissioner of the National Science and Technology Commission of Sri Lanka. In addition, he's also a fellow of the National Academy of Sciences, to which he was elected in 2006. He edits 2 international journals and 2 national journals, being the editor-in-chief in 1 journal. So it gives me great pleasure to invite Professor Wijesundara to give his talk on urban gardening. At the end of the talk, there will be an opportunity for questions. You could post your questions on the chat box, or maybe raise your hand and unmute. In the meantime, while the talk is going on, please keep your computers on mute. Right at the end, after the talk and the questions are finished, the president, Mr. will give you an idea of what the society is planning for you in the future. So, Siril, may I invite you please to share your screen and give your talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Malik Fernand, for introducing me and also inviting me to talk about urban garden. So I'll come to the topic straight away. Urban gardening is practiced within urban areas, within or on the fringe of urban area or town garden. This denotes growing a diversity of plants, can be food plants, medicinal plants, or even ornamental plants. The photo you see is actually an aerial view of part of Colombo. You can see gardens and also some, the buildings and also a few green spots. Now urban gardens are also home gardens. And if you look at the distribution of home gardens in Sri Lanka, you will see that about 18% of the land area in this country is covered by home gardens. The areas in green, yellow color in this map are actually home gardens, and the rest are other forms of land use. This map was actually prepared by Land Use Policy Planning Department in 2020. And the same thing can be seen in this pie chart. As you can see, 18% of the home gardens are, 18% of the land are covered by home gardens and 32% by major cultivations, about 28 to 29% forest, 8% shrubland, 1% grasslands, and 13% other land uses. And if you look at the distribution of these home gardens in the 25 districts, there are actually three categories of home gardens. You can classify home gardens according to their size. The category 1 home gardens are actually having less than 20 perches. The total area is less than 20 perches. And the second category between 21 perches to 1 acre. And the third category is the larger ones, which are actually over one acre. And in Colombo, if you look at the smallest category, the 20 perch or less home gardens, there are 225,000 home gardens covering about 12,000 hectares. And in total, there are 4.4 million home gardens in the country, covering 839,000 hectares. So this is a substantial amount. 4.4 million home gardens and close to 1 million hectares, 839 hectares. So whatever you do in your home garden matters. Small drops, combine to form rivers and things. So similarly, anything you do, it has some impact. So it's very important to know that you can contribute, however small way, to the environment in the country. If you look at the sizes again in the pie chart, you can see about 50% of the home gardens belong to that second category, that is between 20 perches to 1 acre, and 41% of the home gardens are less than 20 perches, so equal 20 perches, and then only 9% of the home gardens are having an area over 1 acre. So we only, you can see that most of our home gardens are smaller in size. Land parcels are smaller. Even in, this is the same in many other areas also. Now even rice, the parcel size is very small, and we have more small holders. So that's a significant thing in this country. There are challenges when you want to set up a urban garden. Of course, there are several challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of space. Not that you don't have space, but then you have to decide whether to devote that land for a home, urban garden, or plant your vegetables or whatever, or use it for something else, because the land value, the land is precious. So this is something. The lack of available space is one of the biggest challenges in setting up of a urban garden. And of course, there are other challenges like non-availability of resources. We don't have much, the good quality seeds and tools and soil. So there are so many challenges. And one other interesting thing is that water can be a limiting factor. And in this pie chart, you can see 38% of the home gardens use pipe-borne water. The water coming from the water supply center and board. And 10% gets water from pipe-borne sources and also from wells. So it's, almost like 48% uses water from pipe-borne sources, pipe-borne water. And 37% of the home gardens get their water from wells, 12% from other source from outside, and 3% also different sources. So important factor is that most of the home gardens use pipe-borne water. So with the water bill is on the increase, so this is something you have to consider also. There are different types of home gardens. So when you have a small space, you have to use various methods to make use of them. Get the maximum use in that limited area. So there are various types of home gardens. Urban gardens. Some can be container gardens, and these actually plants growing in containers. And then there are hydroponics, that is soilless culture. You grow in aqueous medium with some nutrition. And then hanging gardens, you hang your pots or whatever. And then you have square foot garden. It's actually a very sort of Western concept where very small area, that's why it's called square foot. You have vertical, you use the vertical space. And the rooftop gardens, very popular and common, we all know that. And balcony gardens are there. And then you also have community gardens and condominium gardens. So, for example, if you are living in a housing scheme or a condominium, so there are some common areas which everybody can share. These are actually very common in developed countries. They have these community gardens, allotment gardens, and things like that. So during summer, also they get together and cultivate as a group in those common areas. And in addition to those, we have school gardens and office gardens and normal row garden, ground level gardens. They are not in balconies or roof gardens. The rooftops, they are just small scale home gardens in your backyard and things at the ground level. Rooftop, I mean, you can see a rooftop garden here. And this actually a photograph. I mean, I took it from my balcony. You know, every day I see this photograph, and this is the kind of rooftop garden. They actually created on the roof of a building, and we can design them in various ways, ranging from smaller container gardens to complex landscape spaces, depending on the available space. And they are becoming very popular in urban areas where the space is limited. And they're having a lot of benefits. One is improved insulation. Because rooftop gardens can help insulate buildings and reduce energy by providing an extra layer of insulation. So we have this layer on top covered by the the roof garden. And it also regulates stormwater. You know, when you have heavy rains, the runoff will be kind of cut down. And because your plants will absorb rainwater and reduce the amount of water that enters the sewerage system run by the municipality. And also it improves the air quality. Plants can help absorbing carbon dioxide and other pollutants. So that will help improving air quality. And also it will increase biodiversity because these gardens will attract birds, insects, and other wildlife, and that will help increase biodiversity in the area. And definitely it will increase the aesthetic appeal because rooftop gardens provide greenery, green color, and the aesthetic appeal of the building will be increased. I mean, rather than you're looking at a concrete surface, so very rough surface, you see greenery. So that will increase the aesthetic appeal. There are various issues, challenges. Access can be a problem. You have to go up, and if it is in a high-rise building, it will be challenged to take stuff there in the soil and other containers and stuff like that. So that will be a problem, the access, and then even watering. Because now the plants in the roof gardens are actually exposed to high wind and sun. So they dry up quickly and you have to keep on watering, and adequate watering is critical there. So that will be an issue. And then soil quality again, because we have to select soil that are not very heavy. Lightweight soils are needed because they can't put too much weight on the top of the roof. So we have to be careful. Those soil quality will be an issue. And when selecting plants, again, we have to be very careful because we have to select plants that can tolerate extreme weather conditions, including wind, high wind, intense sun, and temperature fluctuation. So we are limited. So the plants that you can use in roof gardens are actually limited. You can't put just each and every plant you need. You have to select the appropriate plants. Maintenance can also be an issue because those plants need regular care, attention, pruning, fertilizing. So these are time-consuming jobs, and sometimes those can be a problem. The structural limitations are also there because you have to be careful with the weight, and you can't put too many stuff and too heavy structures and plants. So we are limited there also. There are structural limitations. Now, another thing, now coming back to the same photo, which I'm seeing every morning. As you can see, here there are these white poles here, and there. These poles are there to hold the net, because this entire roof garden is covered by a net. Because there are monkeys, top monkeys, the real house. They come and damage the crops. So what they do, that gentleman does is, he covered very recently, he did it, covered the whole area with the net. So this is actually not a very big area, so that he could manage. But if the area is too big, this will be an issue. So this monkey menace is a real problem in many of the urban gardens. In addition to the roof gardens, we also have balcony gardens. They are also typically designed to provide space for growing mostly flowers, herbs and vegetables also we can grow. It's a limited area and also becoming popular. These are kind of balcony garden, and here of course we have only flowering plants. These are gnarly and few sensitive areas, and further down you can see the plant. But you can also use brinjal or okra or chili or whatever. You can put them in your balcony. Uh, they are actually mostly created using containers, pots, window boxes, or even hanging baskets. So they can be designed according to your space. That should fit the available space and your preferences, of course. So the challenges there is again the limited space. Most balconies are not very wide, typically small areas. So space is limited. So if you are putting furniture also there, then you have to be, mindful of people moving around, and the limited space is the issue there. And then again, depending on the orientation of your balcony, you can get too much of sun or too little of sun. For example, if your balcony is facing the east, you get very, very strong morning sun, and during evening time you don't get any sun at all. So those issues are there. And then sometimes plants may not tolerate that kind of extreme conditions. And also wind is also another issue. So when you put your pots in the balcony, you have to be careful. If there's wind, your pot will topple over, right? During the windy seasons, if the pot is heavy and tall and things like that, if the plant is also taller, the next wind you get it toppled. So you have to be careful when placing this kind of pots in the balcony. Watering can also be an issue, because you have to be careful when watering, and soil, all that drainage is an issue too. And weight, again, even in the balcony, there are weight limits. So you can't put too heavy containers and too big plants, because there's a weight limit. And of course, there are common issues like pest and diseases. They are not immune to pest and disease, so you have to be careful and be vigilant. The benefits, a lot of benefits in urban gardening, and they of course provide an opportunity for households to produce your own food, and reduce dependence on other expensive food, from outside. And eventually this will help increasing the food security and get a more stable food supply. And also this can reduce carbon footprint, because when you have this kind of your food production area in your home, urban garden or home garden, you don't have to run to the market to bring food. Then that will reduce the distance that food needs to travel from farm to plate. So you restrict your the travel and all that. So that reduces eventually the carbon footprint. But I'm talking about 4 million wood gardens. So every distance matters, whatever the small way. And also it helps to promote biodiversity in the area, providing habitats for pollinators. And this can provide fresh, healthy produce. You know what you are eating. You eat agriculture, without any chemical residues, and you are sure of what you are eating. And that's very important. And also, it provides an opportunity for physical activity. You lift your plant and you take plants around and you do watering and you move around. So this physical activity also, whatever the small way, help your health, improve your health. And this can bring people together. Now, we don't consider that as a serious thing, but now suppose we have your produce, have say 10 mango fruits, and you share it with your neighbor, and they will do, vice versa, they also provide some for you. So they're sort of, bringing people together through these urban gardens, the community building. And also you get a sense of pride and ownership. And this will actually, this has an active role in shaping the community. So whatever the small way, these things will actually matter. In home gardens, you can always use native plants, whatever the possible way. You can use native plants. I don't know whether you are seeing that taskbars, and is it blocking the slide, or is it only my thing? Anyway, so you can use native plants. Now, of course, this can be used mostly for beautifying your area. There are many native plants. Some are actually native indigenous plant, and some are even endemic. Now, for example, this plant you see is Gangavaral, which is an endemic plant. Not only endemic, it's very rare. And these are used actually knowingly or unknowingly. We use Gangavaral as hedges. So I don't know for so many years we have been using this. So this is an endemic plant, and you can use these kind of plants for beautifying. And also we can use plants like Galdemeter. It's a balsam, endemic again. Once we thought that it's extinct in the wild, but recently it was rediscovered. So these are balsam endemic, and it's also medicinally important. So there are plants like that which you can use for beautifying. This again, very important plant, and you can use that. Yakadamaram, it's kind of CGM type of jambu, and beautiful flower, white beautiful flowers, and even berries are very beautiful, very ornamental. And young flush is also having beautiful colors. And this can be used in landscaping. And I know there's one famous politician who has a row of these plants, nicely pruned and all that. And these can be used. There are various ways you can use the limited space in urban gardens. You can put these structures, cultivation towers, cultivation frames, cultivation pyramids, cultivation walls, cultivation arches, bangers, mats, umbrellas, tacks, ladders, racks, nets, cradles, holders, bags, shelves, trolleys, cultivation towers, and all that. So those are different structures that you can use to grow plants on. And I'm not going into details of each of these and how to make and what are the plants that you can use in these towers, but I will give you a very interesting reference. It's actually published by one of my former colleagues, Dr. Tilak Ranasinghe, T.T. Ranasinghe. He was the former provincial director of agriculture in the Western Province, and he came up with a very nice concept called Family Business Guard, and he published this manual. You can download it freely if you type Family Business Guard Manual or FBG Manual and write his name T.T. Ranasinghe. You can download it through this link, and it gives everything about these different structures I mentioned. These cultivation towers, what are the dimensions, how do you develop this, and then what are the plants that you can grow in towers, and these frames, pyramids, and so forth. So this is a very useful reference. And since due to lack of time, limitations in time, I don't want to go into details of this. And you can use this book for that kind of details. This is a Gotukola tower. It's like, we call various towers, they like Lotus Tower. Now this is Gotukola tower. Not that tall as Lotus Tower, but small. You can go Gotukola. You can see it's actually made of you get chicken mesh to have this kind of cylinder, and then fill the inside with coconut husk and compost, no soil, coconut husk and compost, and stuff it there. And then you plant your Gotukola cuttings on the side, and you get this kind of a tower. It's easy because you can pick Gotukola without any soil or earth or whatever, and then weeds, very easy to house, and you can get your product. I mean, you produce without any problem. Same thing. You can also grow salad leaves like this in a container, but then you have to be careful that you should not keep the salad leaves in the open to be exposed to rain, because if you it's in the Nurli district or in the mountain area is fine, but in the mid country or in other areas, if you expose your salad leaves to heavy rain, it will get rotten. So best thing is to keep this away from heavy rains, and you can keep it in a veranda or someplace where there is light, but it should not be exposed to heavy rain. So you can easily get your salad leaves, this way. There's a Sierra plant also here. And then there's another tower, even smaller tower, smaller than the Gotukula tower. This is Mukudwana tower. Same way, you get a pot and then insert this cylindrical structure using wire mesh, the chicken mesh, and then stuff it with coconut husk and even polmudu and compost, and then plant your Mukudwana, and then you can get a Mukudwana tower in no time. So this is actually very, very efficient way of getting Mukudwana, and every 3 weeks or so you can harvest it. I mean, very easy. You can just get a pair of scissors or secateurs and then harvest it. And there again, you don't have you get any soil or any earth or sand or anything, and weeds. So you can get only Mukudwana, and then for a small family, one of these one tower like this is enough. For a family of two or three, even you can even have two of these if you have more than 2-3 people in your family. Same thing. And then this is actually a cloth line, and then the tower is actually covered by Kirianguna creeper. Kirianguna is also a very interesting plant which grows very easily without any problem, and you can harvest it. The leaves, of course, you can use it for a salad or even malu, and very, very nutritious and also tasty. And it grows without any problem. You don't have to fertilize or anything. It's all organic. In any house, I think better it doesn't take much space better to have a rampe plant, and also this Karapincha plant is hidden here. So Karapincha, rampe, and even lemon. So those things are in very small space. And then here and there, you can also have your ornamental plants like jade vine or whatever, and then even orchids. These are in hanging pots. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, even upper 2 or 3 or upper pots also. There you can see you can plant with dendrobiums or whatever, and then just in a vertical way you can keep your orchids. Not only orchids, there are other plants also. One other thing I have to mention that this tower, you can't use Mukudwana for this kind of thing, because Mukudwana needs moisture, and these towers won't retain moisture. So Mukudwana you can grow on the ground in flat surface, but sorry, kangkung, I'm talking about kangkung. Kangkung you can't grow in towers like this. Since it needs moisture, you have to grow it on a flat area. Only this type of plants you can grow in towers. So if you are a kangkung fan, you can't use it in a tower, right? And then these are different ornamental plants you can grow, and also it's an umbrella kind of structure where you can see a hatawai plant or asparagus plant is grown, and it's flowering. That's why it's beautiful. So this is something you can use for forage or colacanda. Very nutritious and tasty. So it won't take much time. I mean, it doesn't take up that much space. And in any garden, you get 1 or 2 papaya plants and anihot. Those things actually, they don't take much space, and they provide nutrition. And one other fruit you can grow, again, a small tree, is this Malayan jambu. It's not that small jambu get, the whole tree is full of this little jambu, but this one is bigger, very, very, very rich looking, beautiful, like apple, and you see fruit is something like that, and very tasty. And it does usually get about 4 to 5 fruits on a bunch, and that adds a lot of color to the garden. And here and there you can have your mango also. But mango also, when selecting a mango, you have to be you should know what variety of mango you should select. If you are in the dry zone, it's fine to have Karta Columba or Tommy JC. But in the mid country, like places like Kandy, you need to use variety like Velle Columba. Here it's actually Velle Columba in Kandy. And banana. Again, if you control the plant, you can grow bananas also in a small area. Now here, of course, I don't know, you can see this rope holding the banana tree, because if not because of that, your banana will land on the neighbor's land. So you have to be careful. You can grow many types of fruit trees on pots. Now, for example, you can see a Kamaranga tree here and also umbrella tree. See this Kamaranga tree fruiting, with beautiful yellow fruits, and umbrella also having fruits. So these things can be grown on pots without any problem. Even mango can be grown in pots. And this particular plant, aloe, it's always, I think, in any households, in any homestead garden, those days people used to have what they call atbehet. We have to have a plant of atkahao, turmeric or ginger, inguru, even aloe, delum. So those plants are actually needed in any household, because there are uses for various little things. We use those plants. Now this aloe is also very important. I don't want to go into details of the uses of this, but this particular one is useful because once, these actually, there was a time when people were looking for a particular aloe called Ratu Komarika, red aloe. And I was also, a lot of people ask me whether I have that in the gardens. I was not aware of that plant. And then this one, accidentally, I found that when you damage a leaf here, the juice coming out is exactly like blood, very red, and blood-like juice coming out of this. And then later I came to know that this is the Rat Komarika people are talking about. It's not red outside, but inside the juice is like blood, red. And some people say that it's used for various diseases, some serious cases. So these are the kind of plants that you can grow in your home garden, even regular Comarica, because they actually absorb carbon dioxide at night. Even this plant, what they call lucky plant, and also this type of sansevieras, this one, and also this flat-leaved, what they call grandmother's tongue, mother-in-law's tongue. So those are actually plants that absorb carbon dioxide at night. In fact, I did an experiment with an undergraduate student just to verify, because we have read it in the literature, but that undergraduate student did a research in my lab, and she found that these lucky plants, sansevierias, and even aloe, they absorb carbon dioxide at night. So these are useful plants to keep in your bedroom. Of course, you can grow chilies and these niggeries or whatever, because they come handy when you are making a curry or a eat curry or whatever. And then there was a time when, I think even now, the cardamom or insard were very expensive. And of course, you can grow for a small family about 3 or 4 plants of cardamom is enough. And you have to grow cardamom under shade. So for the shade, you can use the banana tree, or even, in fact, you don't see it here, but there's a passion fruit keeper provided shade to this inside or cardamom plant. So these are actually very easy to grow plants, and within a short period of time, you will get your cardamom here from at the base. This is enough for a small family. And of course, even billing can be grown on a pot. So these are profusely flowering and fruiting, and so these things will come handy when you want to make a special curry, this billing. And then in any garden, I think one should have a medicinal plant. Now these Adathoda, you can see here, and then of course you can have Kapravalli and Nika. These are kind of different variety, but still the same genus, same species. These are Capravalli and Nika and Ardothoda. Usually, these are actually commonly used when you are preparing kind of a. I mean, what you do is you put all these three in a pot of water and then boil it, and then this steam is used in treating. You have a blocked nose, so during Corona time also for the steaming. You use that, you put those three in hot water and then get the steam. It's very, very, very interesting aroma. If you inhale that steam, it's very good. That you get very nice feeling. You can also have many plants that attract pollinators, especially plants like this Caliandra. They attract bees, and these coral vines and even shrubs, even that jambu plant I showed, they attract pollinators, bees mostly. And then there are so many plants that attract butterflies. Um, but you can also have your own bee box, because if you are having a bee box, you are performing, you are doing a very, very important and very interesting, very useful ecosystem service, because now, for example, this bee box is doing the job in pollinating the plants in the Dangol area. So the bees in here are actually pollinating almost all the coconut trees and other fruits and vegetables in the vicinity. So I mean, it's not necessarily the honey that we should be after. It's actually the ecosystem service these bees are providing. So your bees will go out and pollinate the plants in the vicinity. So it's always better to have a bee box, and then as a bonus, you might even get not that you might, you will get bee honey also from time to time. And if you want to know more about butterflies, there's a very interesting website prepared by my colleague Himesh Jayasinghe and his friends. It's www.slbutterflies.lk, and there is a list of. If you go to that website, you'll see so many um, information, so much information on butterflies. You can get the list of butterflies and even the type of food plants. Now there are butterfly filters, so if you click on that, you can get information about different butterflies in the country, and then here larval food plants and locations and the plant species which the butterflies are attracted to. Now, if you look under family and click here, and you can get all the families, and then just click on any family, just say Boraginaceae, and search. You will get the plants in the Boraginaceae family that attract butterflies, right? So the botanical name and photograph. So this kind of information we can get from this Cell Butterflies LK website. And then even larval food plants, you click on that and then select a family. This actually the individual plants, not the family. Click on Alicicarpus vaginalis. You can select any plant, and then you press search. It shows the butterflies that feed on that particular plant. So those information you can get from SL Butterflies LK website. So there's so many interesting information you can get from websites like that. And I will try to close that. And then, of course, you can also have a bird bath. Here you can see a bird bath and a place to keep some food items. I mean, just spice or something, so that birds come and rest on a branch, on a nearby branch, and then have a bath and nibble, have a little bit of food, and then fly. So always better to have a bird bath to attract various types of birds to your home garden. And especially in the dry season, it's a very good thing to have a bird bath. And with food, and in no time you see that these food will be all taken. So interesting thing to have in your garden, bird bath, so that you can watch birds and also provide bathing, facility, and also food for them. You should also have a compost bin in any garden because when you have your uh, clippings, when you mow your garden or when you prune your garden, you get a lot of vegetable matter. And also your kitchen waste, those can be put in the compost bin and then cover it up with some other vegetable matter. Otherwise, there'll be bad smell coming out. So when you have these different layers, your kitchen waste, and on top of that, you can put your lawn clippings or whatever, and other prune branches or leaves, and then again kitchen waste after some couple of weeks. So then you can have a very nice compost bin, and of course that those kitchen waste also produce supply that's, the nitrogen needed for decomposition. So these things are very important. Unless you have a compost bin, your garden is not complete. So I tried to show, not that I tried, I showed all the photographs from my home garden. They are not my work actually, because as you can see, I'm not an agriculture person. It's my wife who does that, and she's an orthodox agriculture graduate from Perak University, and being an agriculture graduate, she knows everything and agriculture. And so she helps me, and I'm only doing the harvesting bit and providing various advice or ideas, but it's mostly her work, and so it is better to have a resident agriculturist. And so I think I tried to be as simple as possible, and I didn't even want to mention the botanical name because this is meant for a layman audience, I hope. And if you have any questions, please do ask. Thank you very much. I thank the Naturist Society for inviting me, and also all of you who listen to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Wijesundara. That was the most interesting and wide-ranging talk. It's question time now. There are a number of questions that have been posed. Let me see. There was one by Wijesundara about pesticides and fertilizers that can be used in home gardens. Another point that I would like to raise is that your home garden is in Peradeniya, ND.
Yeah.
So what we can grow in Colombo and other low-lying areas would be rather different.
Not that much actually, because we both Kandy and Colombo are both in the wet zone. We are in the mid-country, all right, at slightly higher elevation, but still many of the crops that you grow in Kandy can be grown in Colombo. That won't be a problem. And then since I live in Kandy municipal limits, my home garden qualifies for an urban garden, so in an urban area.
What about fertilizers, weedicides, pesticides?
No, fertilizers, if you have a good compost yard, and cow dung if you can get. For a small garden, I don't think that you need any inorganic fertilizer. We have never used inorganic fertilizer. It's all organic. I mean, not that I'm a proponent of organic fiasco, but for a home garden, you can manage with compost and cow dung and those kind of things. Chemicals, there are issues. Sometimes we have some insect attacks and some mites, aphids, and mealybugs. So those are actually issues. Now, sometimes you can use homemade solutions like soap, beetle leaves, pepper, and there are various things, even aloe. You mix them all up and then you get a kind of a mixture, and then you spray it, and it works most of the time. Some of the mealybugs and aphids you can remove physically. If your plant is a small plant, you can just physically remove it with a brush or something. So as much as possible, it's better to avoid using agrochemicals or even inorganic fertilizers.
Thank you. Sharina Mendra asked whether there are other Alternanthera species that are edible other than the Alternanthera sessilis.
Yeah, thanks, Sheikh. This plant I showed is actually the edible one, the common one, Alternanthera sessilis. But of course, recently there was this big hahoo about alligator weed, Alternanthera phylloxeroides, which came from Australia. It's also edible actually. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that the palatability. The problem is that some people say that if it grows in areas polluted with heavy metals, there can be issues because it absorbs heavy metals. So there are some evidence to show that this particular plant absorbs heavy metals. So that's the reason why we were not promoting alligator weed, and also actually it became an invasive plant also. But it's edible. The palatability is not an issue. If you are sure that it's growing in a good area, eating is not a problem. I mean, no harm eating that.
Yes, Sharine, you can unmute.
May I ask, what about Alternanthera, the dentata? It is a reddish color leaf.
Ornamental one, yeah, that's also edible. But actually, now if you compare the palatability and if you do rank using those few people and see how they rank the taste, I'm sure the sessilis come first. So that is the most tastiest of all Alternantheras.
Thank you, Dr. Siril. Thank you, Doctor.
Anyone else wishes to ask a question? There was a question from Vasanta again about the fruit trees that you showed. Are they propagated, are they bud grafted trees or are they propagated?
Yeah, I think almost all of them were grafted, and actually I bought it from Agrarian Service Department, Agrarian Services Department plant nursery. Not that I propagated, and I purchased them from the nurseries, and they were most of them are actually grafted ones. Even the avocado, which I don't know whether you noticed it, that avocado was also grafted one.
Any other questions or comments, anyone?
Sir, sir, can I ask you a question with regards to the new varieties of vegetables and fruits? We see a influx of foreign varieties coming into the country. the Peradeniya seed bank, does it have are old varieties of say from pepper to bananas? Even bananas, I think some of the varieties are disappearing because there's no commercial value in them. But taste wise, I think there's enormous variety of tastes in all these. I wonder whether the seed bank in Peradeniya has all these
Yes,
old
the
seed.
Ganulur Plant Genetic Resources Center, PGRC, has a collection of germplasm. Even banana, they have even a field gene bank. I mean, not just the seed or seed or tissue, whatever. Even the trees, they have a collection, and many of the crops are actually preserved as seeds. So from germplasm level material. For some, actually, they have field gene bank. They have living plants in their yards in the PGRC. So again, I'm sure you may know there are different types of seeds. Some are orthodox and some are recalcitrant. And some of the seeds cannot be preserved for a long time. Seeds which are having big endosperm, food reserves, they cannot be preserved for a long time. They are not long lasting. So orthodox seeds and because those plants, seeds that are not having enough, I mean, too much food, are the ones that can be preserved. So some of those actually are preserved as living plants, like in peach in there. I think even banana they have in the yards in Ganuru.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I had a question about a good way to control snails. What is a good way to control snails?
Snails, now that's an issue. I want to tell you when I showed you that salad plant, that what with salad is. So what we normally do is every evening we put crystals of salt at the periphery of the pot.
Sorry,
Before
can you repeat?
salt crystals, not salt powder, salt crystals.
Salt.
And that that prevents those slugs entering the pot, and it works. There are various baits like meta bait and all that, those are chemicals, but even salt crystals works, at least for the salad leaves. That's what we do, salt crystals.
Okay.
There are actually other few other things also now. Now you asked about the slugs and also pesticides and things like that, but we also have various fungal diseases, and also so you mistake many of those abnormal appearances in plants as virus or fungi, but they are actually mineral deficiencies. In most cases, I mean, a lot of people mistake them as virus or some fungus, but they are mineral deficiencies. Now, mostly papaya, those yellowing and curly leaves and things. A lot of people think that it's a virus, but it's actually a boron deficiency, and also zinc deficiency. So those things happen, and then if you look at the internet and other resources, you will find photographs showing the boron deficiency and zinc deficiency. And if you apply borate or zinc sulfate, you can correct all these kind of abnormal conditions. Not it's not virus or any other pathogen. It's mostly the deficiency. And also the pH. If you have a high pH sometime, if it is alkaline, then again you get these kind of now boron is not absorbed when there's a high alkalinity. So you have to add cow dung or something to make it acidic, and then that can be corrected. And on top of that, you can also add boron, things. So those are things that you have to consider, because not everything is rosy. When you keep on growing plants, you come up with all sorts of things, and you get discouraged. And you should know exactly what it is, rather than trying to dump fungicides or insecticides. If you know the causal factors, it's easier to treat them.
Thank you very much. It's nearly 7 o'clock now, so I'll ask our President Lester to give a vote of thanks. And following that, talk about what programs we have in place for our members. Lester?
Yes, thank you, Professor Siril. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for engaging with us without any hesitancy. And it was a very interesting talk, because my father was also an agriculturist, and it was very touching. And times are such that we need someone to address this kind of situation. And thank you so much. To me, you're a giant in biodiversity and icon in Sri Lankan biodiversity, and your contribution towards conservation is much appreciated and will be appreciated forever and etched in the history of Sri Lanka. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us without any hesitancy. I appreciate your presence and joining us on this journey.
Thank you for the nice words. Thank you.
Well, the Naturalistic Society, as the new president, we have some plans for the future. And thanks, Hasula. Also, Hasula is the one who initially proposed this talk. And because we have a plan of introducing nest boxes for birds. It's a new thing in Sri Lanka, because birds are losing nest holes because of urbanization and loss of habitat, and there's competition for nest holes. Apart from the nest boxes, we are also have been discussing with some experts on bat boxes, to have bat boxes and also nest boxes for birds in gardens, urban gardens, and also along with that to have insect hotels. Where insects would find refuge in. We are also trying to do a small article and send by newsletter pollinator attracting plants, and also bird attracting plants. And so that is for the moment, and it will be on social media, Facebook website in the future, along with the plants, and also which Hasula has also already compiled some plants, and then the nest boxes are already done. And we will publicize that, so whoever wishes to have nest boxes can get it through us. So having said that, our next talk will be by Dr. Ranil Nanakar. He's a conservation biologist and a conservationist, and I think his PhD was done on tarantulas. He's an expert on spiders. Apart from that, his present work is on marine mammals. I think in the recent past, in the last few months, his field work of 4 months have yielded in something like 20 plus species I think out of close upon 30 species of cetaceans found in our waters, he's recorded in 4 months something over 20 species, which is quite epic. And he would be talking about bats, the diversity of bats and bats of Sri Lanka, and how we would engage in doing the bat boxers, and how it would help with the smaller bats as well as the larger bats. So that is my message as the new president. And thank you all of you for joining us. We have a good participation today. Thank you, Dr. Malik, for helping us go through this journey, and your hard work throughout the years to preserve the Natural History Society and go ahead. So thank you, everyone.
Just before you end, this talk has been recorded and it will be available on the Society's website. Vasanta, you can listen to it on the website sometime. We'll announce it. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of this talk today. Thank you, Siril. I hope we meet again, hopefully on the 2nd of June.
Okay, thank you.
And good night.